Okay, 98. We're going to use, we want to find the distance between 2 points on a graph using the Pythagorean theorem. Okay, so we're going to use what we just learned, and we're going to figure out what the distance between those 2 points on a graph are. So practice A gives us the direction to find the distance between points 4, -2, and -4, -4. Okay, so those are the 2 points, then we want to find that distance. So the first thing I'm going to do is graph this, okay? So I drew my graph. I drew my 2 points. So I have 4, -2 over here, and -4, -4 over here. And then I attach them with that solid orange line, okay? And this whole lesson is about using the Pythagorean theorem to find the distance. So what the trick is here is that we need to draw a fake right triangle. We're just gonna, the dotted stuff is imaginary. We're gonna create a right triangle on this picture so that I can manipulate it by using the Pythagorean theorem and then find out the distance, which is the hypotenuse. Do you see that? Because here's the right angle that I created. I just drew a straight line over and a straight line up. And the distance is the hypotenuse. Okay, so this is just my trick to be able to find my distance. All right, so then my distance squared, which is my hypotenuse, remember? So c squared. So d squared is equal to, and we noticed that up and down, there were 2 places that I moved. It went from a -4 to a -2. So there's 2, it was a length of 2 on the side there. So that's where I got my 2 squared. And then side to side, my x value, I went from -4 to 0 and then 0 to 4. So that was an 8 total distance, okay, or an 8, a movement of 8 length. So that gave me my 8 squared. So distance equals 2 squared plus 8 squared. Distance is equal to 4 plus 64, okay. All right, so distance squared is equal to 68. I took the square root of both sides. I remember that the square root of 68, and you could use your prime factor tree if you're not sure about this, but I know that it's also the square root of 4 times the square root of 17. Since 4 is a perfect square, I can take that out of the square root, and it becomes 2 radical 17. So that is my how to find the distance in that particular problem. Okay. Now, this lesson also has another component to it, and it is finding using the slope formula, okay? So this is like unrelated to that, kind of unrelated to that exactly. But we learned about slope, intercept form, and then we learned about what slope is, and we called it rise over run. But here's the formula. If I'm given any 2 points on a graph, I can always find the slope using this formula, even if, you know, they're decimals or fractions or long big numbers, and I can't draw it out really and count. This allows me to find the slope even if they're hard numbers. So it's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, and I'll show you what that means. So in your example B, in your practice, it says find slope using the slope formula. All right, and in the orange ordered pairs here, those are the 2 points. So it says find the slope between those 2 points using the slope formula. Okay, so we have -4, -7, -8, -3. All right, so what I do is I label my xy coordinate as x1, y1. And it doesn't matter if you make this the x1s and y1s or this the x2s and y2s. What matters is that you're consistent with it. Whatever is your 1x also needs to be your 1y. So x1, y1, and then this one then became x2, y2. Now we're going to go ahead, and I always write my formulas down, such a good habit so that your teacher and you can stay organized. So here's my slope formula, m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, okay? So I plug in my things. So y2, -3. minus y1, negative 7. All over x2, negative 8, minus x1, negative 4. Okay? And so I wrote that out exactly how you should write it. You should have everything written. Don't try to do it in your head at this point. This is stuff you don't want to mix up. All right. So right here, my two negatives become a positive, right? So negative 3 plus 7 is 4. And negative 8 plus 4 is negative 4. So 4 over negative 4 becomes a negative 1. So that is my slope for those 2 points. Then example C, we have another. Okay. So find the slope between those 2 points. Okay, I labeled x1, y1, x2, y2. I write down my formula because I have good habits and I want everybody, my teacher, my mom, myself, to be able to know what in the world I'm plugging in where. Okay, so that's why I do that. Then y2, negative 12, minus y1 is 7, over x2, negative 14, minus x1, which is 4. So 12 minus 7 over negative 12 minus 7 over negative 14 minus 4. So negative 19 over negative 18. I can simplify the two negatives and I just get 18 over 19. And you want to keep this in fraction form. You don't want to have a mixed number, decimal, or something else. You want it in fraction form because it's rise over run. And if we want to count something, we want to be able to just count up and over. All right, that's the end of 98. I'll be back with 99 real soon.